Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ahmad Danish Yuseffendy. My number matrix 286114. So I'll be the first presenter for the presentation, which is discuss German historical school, 5 major questions and contribution of Friedrich List, Wilhelm Roscher and Gustav Schmoller in developing the ideas of that school. So I begin the presentation with introduction of German Historical School, or in short words is GHS. GHS was arose in 1850s with the publication of two individuals, which were Friedrich List and Wilhelm Roscher. GHS were continued by a man which is Gustav Schmoller, who played a central role in the school's development and was a key figure in Association for Social Policy, an organization that promoted the school's ideas. By then, GHS ended in 1917 when Gustav Schmoller died. By then, German economists absorbed some of the ideas of German Historical School, rejected and critiques the classical economists, so the school no longer existed as distinct entity. Next, we move on to historical background. After the Napoleonic Wars, which takes in 1830 to 1832, Germany were divided or separate into 39 separate states, which most of them are monarchical and undemocratic. Many Germans were demanded unification and constitutional reforms, but half of the century, the quest for national utility were frustrated. Germany struggled against Napoleon, had arose patriotism and nationalist emotions. By then, the Prussia, which is the largest, richest and most militaristic and also the most powerful state in Germany, was dominated the country. Prussia played a role as a defensive wall against democracy and socialism. Next, we talk about Bismarck, the Chancellor of the German Empire in the late 19th century, is known for implementing a series of advanced social legislation that aim at addressing the social and economic challenges of the time. Bismarck gave his perspective, which expressed the paternalism of the monarchy and evoked loyalty and also patriotism among the German workers. He also bragged that in Germany, the kings made the revolutions. We move on to the right side. GSS, or German Historical School, questioned the historical relevance of the British classical economic doctrines and rationalized the German way of life, laissez-faire. So, the British theories is not applicable in German situation. In Germany, competition and freedom of enterprise are restricted. So, mercantilist revolution still persists in Germany, at least until the formation of empire in 1871, long after they had disappeared from the British scene. For example, Friedrich List suggested a high tariff against imports of manufacturing goods to protect newly emerging domestic industries. The Germany that gave birth to GHS was divided, weak, and primarily agricultural. By this phenomenon, it led to the incorporation of the spirit of nationalism, patriotism, militarism, paternalism, and massive government intervention to improve the pattern and also to promote industrial growth. This is because Germany of the middle 19th century was far behind England in the development of industry. So its economists reasoned that government assistance was required for it to catch up the development of the industry. Next, we will talk about major tenets. Major tenets separate into 4 categories, which are evolutionary approach to economics. Secondly, emphasize on the positive role of government. Thirdly, inductive or historical approach. And fourth, advocacy of conservative reform. So I will start with the first major tenet, which is evolutionary approach to economics. So the first point, DHS applied a dynamic evolutionary perspective in its study of society in Germany. Secondly, DHS concentrated on cumulative development and growth, which was rejected the idea of abstract economic laws and instead focused on understanding economic development within specific historical context. Next, DHS assumed that some analogy drawn to Darwin's evolutionism in biology, which was born, develops, grows, and finally decays and dies. Next, society is constantly changing in our norms. Fifth, DHS pointed that what is relevant economic doctrine for one country at a particular time may be irrelevant for another country or another age. Lastly, this relativistic approach was especially useful in attacking classical economics as being unsuitable for Germany. Next, we move on to the second major tenets in DHS, which is emphasized on the positive role of government. DHS was nationalistic, while DHS assumed or give their perspective, which classical economics was individualistic and cosmopolitan. Secondly, the state of Germany fostered or encouraged into three categories, which are industry, transportation, and economic growth. Thirdly, in the process of defending a unified economy, it was easy to develop an ardent nationalistic glorification of the state. Fourthly, historical school gave great prominence to the need for state intervention in economic affairs, and also stressed that the community has interests of its own that are quite distinct from those of the individual. Next, I will talk about the third major tenet in DHS, which is inductive of historical approach. German historical school was categorized by its inductive or historical approach to economics. The proponents of this school of thought rejected the deductive methods of classical economics, which rely on abstract principles and universal laws. Instead, the DHS advocated for an inductive approach, emphasizing the study of real-world historical data and context-specific analysis. So, in these major tenets, DHS emphasized the importance of studying the economy inductively or historically. Example, from part to the whole, from particulars to general, and from facts to the theories. This is because economic and other social phenomena are interdependent. Political economy cannot be treated adequately except in combination with other branches of social science. It undertook massive inductive studies using primary source material and studying changing social institutions. This historical school claimed that its historical method allowed it to study all the forces of an economic phenomenon. All the facts of economic behavior are not merely their economic logic. So from this, today the historical inductive method has become generally accepted as complementary to the marginalist abstract deductive method. So the last major tenet in DHS is advocacy of conservative reforms. Political economy must not merely analyze motives that prompt economic activity, but must weigh and compare the moral merit of these actions and their outcomes. It must determine a standard of the proper production and distribution of wealth so that the demands of justice and morality are satisfied. Moreover, the German state should be entrusted with the amelioration of conditions for the common man. He has also promoted moderate reforms that frustrated the drive for a more radical democratization of society, such as promoted by socialists. Instead of the poor and lowly fighting and winning in their own battles for improvements, concessions were given to them by a paternalistic state. As a result, loyalty, nationalism, and servility to the state were more widespread in Germany, which is divert the working class from extreme socialistic ideology. That's all from me. Thank you.
Next, for the next slide is whom did the benefits from the historical school. So the first party who got the benefit from the historical school was members of the German historical school, where they can enjoy the close and friendly relation with government official. And then German government can also control most university and Schule, which is known as the professor maker, where he control a majority of the academic appointment in Germany. And then they can also got the supporters of the Austrian marginalist school were excluded from university position. And then the second party who got the benefit from the historical school was dominant business, financial, and land owning groups, where they got served, they can serve them by promoting the moderate reforms, and that frustrated the drive for a more radical democratization of the society, which is we known as socialistic ideology. And then instead of the poor and lowly fighting and winning their own battle for improvement, concessions were given to them by a paternalistic state. As a result, royalty, nationalism, and servility to the state were more whispered in Germany. How was the historical school valid, useful, or correct in its time? So the first one is evolutionary approach on economic. The evolutionary approach to society and to economic thought provided a suitable solution to abstract thinking of the classical and marginalist schools. And then the historical school was correct in its perspective that economists need to familiarize themselves with a changing history and environment with economic in order to understand the present world. And then the second one is the inductive method. So inductive factual studies were required for proving economic and social evolution. And then new theories and ideas had to be evoked to understand new situation, and needed a very carefully testing tough the use of the empirical data. Next is which tenets of the historical school became a lasting contribution. So the first one is inductive method. Economists agree historical empirical data are required to explain the present, which is to test the old theory and to develop the new theories. So nowadays, historical inductive methods has become generally accepted as a complementary to the deductive approach. For example, econometrics analysis normally incorporates both abstract theories and empirical testing. So the second one is attack on laissez-faire. So this theme was the trend of the future, that the members of the historical school recognize that unrestricted free enterprise doesn't necessarily produce the best possible result for the society as a whole. So they were right in their belief that a reform can be a substitute for worse upheavals worked on by sharpening class distinction. And then the last one is German nationalism, advocate by the historical economists, overreached itself as it evolved into a frenzied militarism. During the century ending in 1914, the hope was rising that the world could achieve peace and universal harmony. So the German historical economists struck a strident note of a nationalism that shared this internationalist sentiment of goodwill. Their ideas perhaps unintentionally contribute to the climate in Germany that led to the World War I and World War II.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Mama Ariff bin Rajali. My metric number is 285930. Fried list is a visionary born in 1789 and departed in 1846, left an indelible mark on history throughout his dynamic career. Let's journey through key moment in his life that shaped his legacy. In 1819, Friedrich List commenced his professional journey as a government clerk, swiftly ascending to the estimate post of ministerial undersecretary, laying the foundation for his impactful career. By 1819, List's intellectual prowess led him to embrace academia, accepting a professorship at the University of Tübingen. It was during this time that he ardently championed politician and commercial union among the government state. In a blood move in the same year, Friedrich List, representing an organization of machine and manufacture, submitted a history petition for a custom union to the Federal Assembly, a pivotal moment in his advocacy for economic integration. The year 1820 marks a turning point as List, elected to his state legislature fearlessly championed administrative and financial reform that were deemed radical in his area. His proposals include abolishing toll on roads, eliminating the TIS, ending state ownership of industry, imposing limited excise duties, abolishing federal property tax, and placing restriction on productive land use. However, List unwavering committed to reform come at a professional cost. Serving 8 months in prison, he faced deportation, underscoring the challenges he endured for his convention. From 1825 to 1832, Fred List ventured to the United States, where his multi-faced pursuit reflect his dynamic spirit as a farmer, journalist, and business promoter. He experienced the high and low of fortune, make a losing wealth in a coal mining industry. Upon returning to Germany in 1833, List redirected his energies towards a cause he had dear, advocating for the development of German railway network. His vision transit was as later railway line closely follow the blueprint he outlined in a pamphlet. In 1834, Fred List achieved a significant milestone in his quest for economic units. His tireless effort materialized in the formation of the Zorin custom union that played a career role in shaping the economic landscape of Germany. Tragically, in 1846, Fred List faced a confluence of challenge, struggling with ill health and financial difficulty, and disheartened by the parallel process of achieving German unity. He took the heartbreaking step of ending his own life. List's dedication to his ideas and the toll it took on himself as a poignant reminder of the complexity his navigated. Navigating economic frontiers, Fred List's vision on protection for infant industry. In examining the economic philosophy of Fred List, a prominent 19th century economist, we delve into his visionary stance on the protection of infant industry. List now approved to filtrate his significant view on agriculture protection and classical economy reveal on strategic and content-aware economic philosophy. List proponent of free trade advocate for the imposition of high tariff on the import of manufactured product. His reasoning was clear. To safeguard recently development domestic business, often referred to as infant industry, these protective measures were seen as critical for nurturing and sustaining the growth of this burdened economic sector. However, Lee's support for protection did not extend to agriculture and or a mature industry. He recognized that the need for low-cost raw material and affordable food for labor, essential element in the production process. Lee believed that protectionist policy promoting large-scale industry development could simultaneously boost the domestic market for agriculture, fostering a symbiotic relationship. This delivers a scathing critique of classical economy, particularly targeting the doctrine of Adam Smith. His critics center around the claim of unity for principle that, according to List, were sustainable for England but not necessarily for developing nation. List argued vehemently that the government should play an active role in supporting citizens aimed to transition from a low stage to the higher stage of economic development, challenging the laissez-faire idea of classical economy. Friedrich's insight on protection for infant industry provide a rich tapestry of economic philosophy, emphasizing the importance of content-specific policy and a protective role for the government in shaping economic destinies. As we explore this vision, we gain value perspective on the delicate balance between free trade, protectionism, and the dynamic needs of evolving economy. The soonest unveiled, Friedrich's rejecting of the harmony of interest. In scrutinizing the economic theories of Friedrich, a notable 19th century economist was relieved his compelling accuse against Adam Smith. Celebrate notion of harmony of interest. List a critic of this harmonious ideal believed that the pursuit of individual interest does not always seamlessly align with the broader well-being of the community. List frequently argued that the presumed harmony of interest within a community does not necessarily follow from the private interest of each individual member. This challenged the idea that was benefit one person will inherently benefit the community as a whole. This illustrates his point by highlighting the potential pitfall of extreme thrift, where an individual may amass wealth through stringent saving. This one that if an entire country adopts his strategy, it could lead to a lot of consumption and efficient support for business. The mess between individual perspective and communal well-being. This postulates that individuals require a sense of national unity, choosing that emigrant from previous development. He impressed that individual attraction should be subjected to the maintenance of this, challenging the idea that the pursuit of individual interest would naturally harmonize with the greater good for the community. This descent from Adam Smith concept of the harmony of interest reveal a notion perspective on the intricate relationship between individual pursuit and the collective welfare. This emphasis on the potential discordance in the pursuit of wealth and the importance of nation unity. Perhaps our understanding of economic principle and underscore the complex interplay between individual action and the well-being of the entire community. Productive power. Friedrich's exploration of productive power through economy endeavors. In delving into the economic perspective of Friedrich, we unravel his analysis of productive power practically through the lens of military preparation and engagement. This exemplification challenged conventional nation by showcasing its tense world war with all its associated costs, significant enhanced country productive capabilities. This productively content the military preparation war and the result war tips can, in certain cases, immensely increase the productive power of our country. Notably, England served a compelling example. World War, rather than stifling economic growth, became a catalyst for an unprecedented secure in productivity. This illustrates how war, particularly in the case of England, expand productive power to such an extent that the increased annual value far exceed the annual interest on the country and large war debt. The paradoxical relationship between war and productive challenge conventional wisdom. Let's explore the economic ramification of investing fund in army. He pointed out that sending goods to the theater of war not only fueled military effort but also had a transform effect on a nation's economy. However, this approach was not without consequence. As a result in the destruction of foreign manufacture and contribute to England industry domination. Friedlich's examination of productive power in the content of military and thus offer a unique perspective on the intricate relationship between war, economic growth, and industry dominance. This insight prompted us to reconsider the conventional wisdom surrounding in the economic impact of war, challenging us to explore the now dynamics that shape a nation's productivity and economic powers. Wilhelm Roscher, architect of economic wisdom. Wilhelm Roscher, a luminary born in 1870 and departing in 1894, left an indelible mark on economic thought during the 19th century. Roscher's enduring legacy lies in his role as a professor of political economy at esteemed institutions like Göttingen and Leipzig. His influence reached far beyond the lecture house, leaving indelible marks on the intellectual landscape of his time. As testament to Roscher's dedication and intellectual prowess is his magnum opus, Economic Science. This monumental 5-volume textbook, meticulously crafted over 40 years from 1844 to 1894, became a cornerstone of economic education in Germany. The impact of Russia was reflected in the widespread adoption of economic science across Germany. His first volume alone achieved remarkable success, reaching 13 edition by 1878. Such was the significance of Russia was that it transcended language barriers with an English translation titled Principle of Political Economy. Russia's textbooks not only serve as pedagogical tools but also as influential guides in shaping economic thoughts. The translation of his first volume into English broadened to reach of his ideal, fostering a cross-cultural exchange of economic principles. Wilhelm Roscher's profound impact on economic education and discourse encapsulated in the base of economic science as the didactic professor and prolific actor. Roscher's legacy endures a testament to his enduring influence on the intellectual current that shaped the economic landscape of 19th century Germany. Economic evolution. Wilhelm Roscher and the clash of the historical school. Wilhelm Roscher, a pioneering figure born in 1817, played a pivotal role as one of the founders of the old historical school in economics. However, the evolution of economic thought saw a scheme emerge with the younger historic school, YSH, under the leadership of Gustav Smaller, seeking to not just augment but entirely replace classical theory through history, research, and policy analysis. Within the realm of economic thought, the OSH, led by figures like Wilhelm Roscher, sought the enriched classical economic theory with history insight. However, a profound shift occurred with the emergence of the younger history school under the Gustav Smaller, advocating for complete replacement of classical theory with a foundation rules in history research and policy analysis. Despite Wilhelm Roscher rejecting of the classical economy he had learned in his youth, he paradoxically contributed to the development of concepts that adhered classical principles. The paradox became the focal point of criticism from the younger history school, which contests the OH approach. Russia's simultaneous rejection and adoption of classical economic concept forms the crux of the younger history school critique of the OSH, the tension between preserving traditional economic theories and embracing a more historically grounded approach become a defining feature of this intellectual clash. Wilhelm Rosch's legacy is entwined with the dynamic evolution of economic thought during his time. His role in the OSH laid the groundwork of a broader dialogue that would unfold between traditional and innovator, ultimately shaping the trajectory of economic theory through the clash between the OSH and the YSH. Wilhelm Roscher's historical method, unraveling economic evolution and society dynamics. Wilhelm Roscher, a trailblazer in the field of economics during the 19th century, left an indelible mark through his distinctive approach to the historical method by delving into past legal, political, and society issues. Roscher aimed to establish the law of economic development, challenging the conventional goal of political economy. Roscher's unique perspective contend that the aim of political economy was not to establish a perfect situation but meticulously describe the precise position that economy has reached through ongoing growth. Through the historical method, he sought to uncover the intricate law governing economic development. Central to Roscher's economic philosophy was the recognition that societies are in a perpetual state of evolution, transitioning from immature to mature form. The peninsula of perfection, according to Roscher, might be found in this mature society. However, he accurately observes that inevitably even matured society undergo a period of decline and decay, a magnification of his evolution theory. Russia's application of the history method serves a dual purpose. Firstly, it provides insight into economic evolution. Secondly, he argued that the knowledge gained through this method could eliminate the sin of self-reliance. In doing so, Russia believed that more evidence civilians would not regard less developed one with disdain, fostering a more empathetic and understanding global perspective. Wilhelm Roscher, committed to the historical method, was not merely an academic pursuit but a transformative lens through which he viewed economic development and society dynamics. His work encouraged us to explore the intricate tapestry of economic evolution, fostering empathy and understanding as the navigate the complexities of different stages in the society life skill. Navigating economic principle, Wilhelm Roscher deductive method wrote in history. Within the realm of economic thoughts, Wilhelm Rocher approach to the deductive method stand as a testament to his commitment to Guardian theory in his historical realities. In his influence word, principle and political economy, Russia not only condensed on English classical price theory but also demonstrate a passionate dedication to economic theory deeply rooted in historical foundation. Russia utilization of the deduction method was distinctive for its historical underpinnings rather than critiquing abstract theory in isolation. He sought to trace their origins in history, recognizing the importance of historical content in shaping economic principles. The principle of political economy encapsulate Russia at Hussein for economic theory, presenting a condensed form of English classical price theory. This not only showcase Russia's gaps of foundational economic principle, but also highlight his deduction to making this theory accessible and relevant. Russia, far from minimizing deduction theory, praised that need for a comprehensive understanding. He claimed that examining current fact and opinion is a career supplement to the classical deduction approach by weaving together deduction, reasoning, and real-world observation. Russia aimed to enrich economic theory with practical insight. In his pursuit of deduction method grounded in history, Wilhelm Rocher encouraged a holistic perspective. He recognized the interplay between theoretical framework and historical realistic, furthering a nuanced understanding of economic principle that transcend abstract reasoning. Wilhelm Rocher historical basis for the deduction method underscore the importance of contextualizing economic theory by incorporating history roots into economic analysis. Rocher not only enriched the deductive approach but also paved the way for a more nuanced and apprehensive understanding of the intricate interplay between theory and historical reality.
So next, battle of methods. So this is a battle between inductive approach and versus deductive approach, which is inductive approach introduced by German historical school, and then deductive approach was introduced by Austrian marginalist school. So in inductive approach, they emphasize the importance of studying the economy inductive or historically, while in deductive method, the David Ricardo invented analytical and abstract method. And then in inductive approach, economic and other social phenomena are interdependent. And then in deductive approach, Ricardo starts with basic premise and then use a logic to deduce a generalization. And then in inductive approach, they are using a historical approach, which is it is possible to study the economic logic of the phenomenon, behavior, and all its underlying forces. And then in deductive approach, his tendency is to use assumptions to bolster his argument. And then next, so in the inductive approach, they use primary sources, material, and study changes in social institution, while in deductive approach, they abstract from the complexity of the real world, and better understand it. And then next, in inductive approach, they are also political economy cannot be treated adequately except in combination with other branch of social science, while in deductive approach, several marginalist school members advocate the partial equilibrium analysis method, and this method allow one variable to change at a time while holding other variables momentarily constant. So next slide, the method and state. So the method and state is battle of method, which is inductive versus deductive. So it is a famous controversy between Schemler from German Historical School and Karl Menger from Austrian Maginalist School. So in 1883, Menger had published a book on a methodology that defends theoretical analysis. So Schemler reviewed the book and then and unfavorably in his Jabberj, and Menger replied in an angry pamphlet titled Errors of Historism. So the historian have invaded the realm of our science, like invading armies in order to impose their language, habits, terminology, and methods on us. So they vehemently oppose any field of study that doesn't fit their preconceived notion. So next, battle of methods. So this is a battle between inductive approach and versus deductive approach, which is inductive approach introduced by German historical school, and then deductive approach was introduced by Austrian Maginalist School. So in inductive approach, they emphasize the importance of studying the economy inductive or historically, while in deductive method, the David Ricardo invented analytical and abstract method. And then in inductive approach, economic and other social phenomena are interdependent. And then in deductive approach, Ricardo starts with basic premise and then use a logic to deduce a generalization. And then in inductive approach, they are using a historical approach, which is it is possible to study the economic logic of the phenomenon, behavior, and all its underlying forces. And then in deductive approach, his tendency is to use assumptions to bolster his argument. And then next, so in the inductive approach, they use primary sources, material, and study changes in social institution, while in deductive approach, they abstract from the complexity of the real world, and better understand it. And then next, in inductive approach, they are also political economy cannot be treated adequately except in combination with other branch of social science, while in deductive approach, several marginalist school members advocate the partial equilibrium analysis method, and this method allow one variable to change at a time while holding other variables momentarily constant. Next, social reform. In social reform, Shamala believed that ethical values judgment should be encouraged, and then justice in the economic system could be achieved through paternalistic policy of social reform by the state and all social group. And then the guiding principle of social reform is a more equitable distribution of income. Shamula accused the older historical school of attempting to apply the lesson of history too quickly. However, despite of the innumerable massive historical studies that he and his students published in order to establish an empirical basis for national economic theory, they failed to produce an economic theory, and then their major contribution lay in the area of economic history. Next, protectionism. So Gustav Schaeberle felt that tariff are intentional weapons that might benefit a country if it is being used skillfully. Where Schaeberle had changed his view on protectionism in the late of his life. So he had been an ardent advocate of free trade when he is young. In 1901, he favored a protection tariff for Germany, and he held Alexander Hamilton and Frederick List as his teacher. Because economists and statesmen had been unable to comprehend the lovely arguments for free trade, Schaeberle had denied that a new era of protectionism had begun. So Schaeberle had justified tariff on the basis of List, which is infant industry arguments, and goes further of it.
The last discussion for this topic is conclusion. The German Historical School impact on economic thought and society. The German Historical School, GSH, emerged in the 1814 with influential figures like Friedrich List and William Rocher reaching its zenith and Gustav Smaller until his passing in 1970. This school of thought brought a distinctive critique of classical economics, challenging its abstract, deductive, and unhistorical nature. The research economics vehemently critiques the static and unrealistic qualities of classical and marginalist methodologies. In response, they advocate for the use of evolutionary and inductive method in economic analysis, emphasizing the importance of historical content. The perspective root in a profound understanding of societal evolution become the bedrock for GHS approach to economic thought. A key aspect of GHS philosophy was the advocacy for government intervention in the economic conservative reform. This approach aimed not only to critique existing economic structure but to actively shape policy that would benefit the broader populace. The such economic were driven by a desire to improve the condition of ordinary people focusing on enhancing their health, life standard, and efficiency as factory workers. This emphasis on the well-being of the working class reflect a commitment to social progress and community justice. Importantly, the detached combination of nationalism, patriotism, militarism, paternalism, and devotion to duty, coupled with significant government intervention, played a crucial role in promoting industry growth in Germany. Simulationally is portrays a sense of loyalty among workers and ordinary citizens, deterring support for extreme socialist ideologies. This multi-phase approach not only influenced economic policy but also shaped the social fabric, contributing to the unique trajectory of economic development and societal chosen in Germany during this period. In essence, the Germany History School left an enduring legacy by challenging traditional economic paradigm, advocating for government intervention, and fostering a socio-economic environment that aimed at both progress and social chosen.